Samaniego here. Wanted to invite you to go check out Poblis. Poblis is a dog clothing and accessory company based in Austria. 10% of each of your purchases goes to helping dogs in need, whether it's homeless, sick, or ill dogs. This is one of the reasons why we support it. Kiska here is a rescue dog from rural Alaska and our grid office dog. We care about our furry buddies, and we know you do as well. Definitely check out poblis.com. There's a link on the video description, and by clicking on that link, you get a 10% discount on your purchase as well.
Good evening and welcome to Grit Live Wrap-Up. I'm Toby Lambert from the Podium Finish, and with me is Adam Limmeries and Ben Snyder. For all of our viewers out there, feel free to comment and leave questions in the chat room below. We'll do our best to respond, answer all of your questions, and display them on the screen. We have a lot of racing to discuss from the weekend, so let's get started with Ben and Formula One.
Right, and for the first time in a very long time, Sir Lewis Hamilton is not the driver leading Formula One in wins. Max Verstappen dominated the Styrian Grand Prix today. Only 4 drivers finished on the lead lap. Nobody had anything for Max, clearly. Mercedes didn't have the pace. Will we see a difference next week between Mercedes and the others?
Well, Ben, what a weekend. I'll admit, I'm a little surprised right now with the result, because I thought Lewis Hamilton would respond to Max Verstappen, and Red Bull showing a wonderful form right now. And for Max Verstappen to go out there and as you said, eclipse Lewis Hamilton in wins, I think it just shows that Red Bull is definitely getting everything right now, and Mercedes is playing catch up. So heading into another weekend of racing at the Red Bull Ring in Austria, I think Max Verstappen, Red Bull, they can run it up again, get Sergio Perez on the podium this time, and Lewis Hamilton, Valtteri Bottas. It seems like they're definitely going to be playing a game of catch up.
I'll have to agree with you, Kobe. I was surprised to see Max Verstappen completely dominate in Austria today. If I were Mercedes and Lewis Hamilton, I would probably start to get worried right now, because next weekend they're back at it again, and we could see Max Verstappen dominate one more time. If I'm surprised Lewis Hamilton didn't have a charge for Max Verstappen, but right now, Red Bull has a lot of momentum, and Mercedes needs to play catch up in order to overtake Red Bull in Formula One.
Yeah, the first time in the hybrid era that Mercedes haven't won in 4 consecutive races now. Red Bull with Verstappen and Perez leading the way the last few races, which really speaks to the dominance Mercedes have had in the turbo hybrid era, and could have had 2 Red Bulls on the podium today. A slow pit stop for Sergio Perez kind of put him behind Bottas. He had a hard charge at the end, couldn't quite get there, but Red Bull still lead the constructor standings. Mercedes cut the lead a little bit with their 2nd and 3rd place finish. Do you believe by season end, the Constructors' Championship battle will be closer than the drivers towards the end of the season?
Oh, yes, I do believe so, because Red Bull, I believe that the Constructors' Championship will go down to the final race at Yas Marina in Dubai. When it comes to Formula One, it's Red Bull, Mercedes, and then the rest of the field. I anticipate that Mercedes will eventually win the Constructor Championship, and I believe it'll come down to less than 20 points.
Less than 20 points. That will certainly be interesting, Adam. But I do agree with you. I do think that the Constructors' Championship will be really close. We know Lewis Hamilton, Max Verstappen been the number 1 driver of those teams. Sergio Perez has really been coming on lately, strong for Red Bull after his big win at the Azerbaijan Grand Prix in Baku. And Valtteri Bottas, he's had a lot of ups and downs, but I'm sure today's finish, after the start to the week he had, having an issue in pit lane, he definitely has to smile today, knowing that he was able to score good points for Mercedes. So they'll still be in the fight throughout the rest of the season with Red Bull in the Constructors' Championship.
Yeah, I think I'm just doing the math quick in my head. I think actually with Perez finishing fourth today, 25 points for a win, 12 for fourth is 37, and Mercedes 19 with Hamilton getting the fastest lap, plus 18 for the second place finish, Bottas getting 15. I think Red Bull actually, it's basically a wash, but I think they actually increased the lead by 3 points. So just want to correct what I had said earlier. In terms of the driver standings, Verstappen now has an 18-point lead over Hamilton, but 40-point difference between the constructors with Red Bull and Mercedes. The two number 2 drivers, Bottas and Perez, that's going to be critical for the remaining races, especially for the Constructors' Championship. Now, it's a doubleheader for Formula One. Kind of ironic that we've got a doubleheader going on in NASCAR now. Formula One will be back in Austria next weekend. What will you guys be looking forward to as we get to the Austrian Grand Prix?
Well, Ben, one of the big things that I'm going to be looking at as we have another weekend of racing in Austria, I'm going to be seeing are we going to see a bit of the same we saw this today in Austria? Are we going to see Max Verstappen and Red Bull have the upper hand over Lewis Hamilton and Mercedes, or can Lewis Hamilton and that team try to redeem themselves and go out next weekend and try to flip the script and get a victory over Max Verstappen and Red Bull? Like I said, I definitely think that the momentum is in the favor of Verstappen and Red Bull. But however, in Formula One, anything can happen, as we all know. And moving forward, we might see something. We might see something totally unexpected happen. Something we're not even thinking about right now. And I know, looking at last year, the Italian Grand Prix, then they went the Bahrain outer circuit. Nobody thought Pierre Gasly or Sergio Perez was going to win that race, and we could very well see a shocking upset win. It's probably not going to happen, but it's certainly possible. I know Adam likes to say anything can happen, will happen.
I'll agree with you, Kobe. If looking ahead to next weekend's Austria Grand Prix, if I were Mercedes, I would try to find a way to get back their momentum they had at the beginning of the year, because right now it could be a Red Bull runaway when it comes not only the Drivers' Championship but the Manufacturers' Championship. So right now, Lewis Hamilton's going to have to find some mojo, get back in that winning way next weekend, because we are at the Red Bull ring. So Max Verstappen could have so much momentum because it's home, because the sponsor of his car sponsors the racetrack. So Lewis Hamilton and Mercedes needs to find a way to step up. Otherwise, it could be another Red Bull dominance at the Austrian Grand Prix.
Yeah, that's a good point. It is the home race for Red Bull, and Kobe, to bounce off of what you said a little bit, I would keep an eye on Lando Norris. I think he's certainly been the best of the rest when you look past the leading duo of Mercedes and Red Bull this year. Wouldn't be surprised if he's that shock winner you might be talking about, because he's certainly had a good season so far. And now we'll hand it over to you for some W Series coverage.
Yes, the W Series. Yesterday, the W Series race saw a lot of action throughout the field. Defending champion Jamie Chadwick spun early, lost a lot of spots, but able to salvage a 7th place finish. Bicycle Vitzer, last year's runner-up in the championship, got spun while in 4th place, and she finished a disappointing 13th. Alice Powell, the dominant driver of the weekend, took the pole, led every single lap, had the fastest lap, and won the race in such a dominant performance. It was the second win for her and 5 podiums so far in 7 W Series races. And next week, just like Formula One, the W Series is returning to the Red Bull ring next weekend for another race. Alice Powell will definitely be going out there looking to sweep Austria.
And also on top of the points and extending his lead over in WRC, Sebastian Ogier, 34 points ahead of Elfyn Evans, who went out early. Theron Neuville was leading most of Rally Kenya, hit a rock Sunday morning, which led to a DNF, handing Ogier the lead and eventually the win. Ogier is not making mistakes. Drivers that have been within striking distance have made some mistakes, including Kelly Robin-Pera out while leading the points. Tanek while leading. Elfyn Evans second in points. Third, Neuville while leading. So with OJ 34 points ahead, not making very many mistakes, only 6 events left. Is he on his way to winning his 8th championship in WRC?
That I'm gonna have to say yes, because right now he has a lot of momentum going for him. You know, he like you said, Ben. He hasn't had a lot of mistakes yet this year, and he's been the dominant driver in the WRC for the last few years. So right now, for me, it's Sebastian Ogier versus the field, and I wouldn't be surprised if Sebastian Ogier hangs on to win his 8th championship.
And Adam, when talking about Sebastian Ogier, it's funny. Whenever we're talking about WRC, he is the one name who is constantly in our mouths talking when it comes to the series. Because Sebastian Ogier is just so stinking good at this series, off-road racing, rallycross. He's definitely one of the best, one of the best in the world, in my opinion. The best in the world. Looking at all of the championships that he's won, and at the end of the day, when his career is over, he'll definitely be on Mount Rushmore as one of the best rally racers of all time. And I think right now he's doing everything he needs to do championship wise. And I believe that Sebastian Ogier will certainly be in contention to win this 8th championship. It's certainly looking that way right now, and there's nothing that can slow him down at the moment.
Mistake-free, 4 wins this season. Ogier is still at the top of the grid ranking and could take that along with his 8th championship. Now over to the NASCAR Cup Series, where Kyle Larson entered with 4 wins this season, going for a 4th and perhaps even a 5th in a row of the doubleheader this weekend at Pocono.
Yeah, heading in the Pocono, a lot of people thought Kyle Larson might sweep the weekend, but with 2 races in the books now at Pocono, it didn't turn out the way a lot of people expected. Kyle Larson yesterday was a single turn away at Pocono from his 4th consecutive points race win, 5 if you want to include the All-Star race. On the final lap, in the final turn, Larson had a left front tire go down. He washed up the track and hit the wall in a dramatic finish. Alex Bowman came through to steal the win in the first of 2 Cup races this weekend at Pocono. It was the 3rd win of the year for Bowman. Yes, I repeat that. The 3rd win of the year for Alex Bowman, the driver of the number 48, tied with Martin Truex Jr. for 2nd most this season behind Kyle Larson, who finished a disappointing 9th. With Alex Bowman having 3 wins now, are you surprised that he has gone to victory lane this many times this season?
I'd have to say a little bit. At this point of the year, with how strong Hendrick has been, I can't say I'm too surprised, but I don't know that I would have predicted it at the start of the year either. But, the whole Hendrick team has really shown a lot of speed. And you saw it even this weekend, with Larson looking like he was on his way to the 4th win in a row before he lost his tire there at the end. And even today, William Byron showed a lot of speed and was leading late before he had to come into the pits as well. So, Hendrick as a whole have really stepped up their game this year. They're certainly back as the top team in the NASCAR Cup Series, and Alex Bowman's doing his share to keep it that way.
Me, I'm not surprised, because if you look at it, he's in the number 48 car, which was previously driven by Jimmy Johnson, and look at all the success he had. I'm really happy to see Alex Bowman having multiple wins this year, and I wouldn't be surprised if he captures a few more wins as the season continues.
Yes, with the way Hendrick Motorsports is running right now, it would not surprise me to see Alex Bowman get a few more wins this season. And right here, we do have a comment from a viewer. Matthew Swinson said that was a real heartbreaker for Larson. Yes, that was an absolute heartbreaker. And like I said, it was such a dramatic finish. A lot of people really did not see that coming at all. Even I thought Kyle Larson had that in the bag. And then last corner, there goes the tire, and that's his race right there. And Alex Bowman was in the right place at the right time and took home the victory. And today we saw another exciting finish in race 2, a field mileage race, something that we've seen in the past quite a few times at Pocono Raceway with different strategies in place, and wondering which drivers will make it to the end and who'll run it empty. Pitting 1 lap sooner made the difference for Kyle Busch today, who was battling Denny Hamlin for the win in the closing laps. Hamlin came to the pits from the lead, didn't have enough fuel to make it, and Kyle Busch saved the right amount to win Pocono Race 2, overcoming issues with the clutch. And actually, Kyle Busch ran out of fuel on the cooldown lap, and that's how close he came to not winning. So if there was one more lap, it would have been game over for Kyle Busch. Did you anticipate having a fuel mileage finish, and will today's result give Joe Gibbs Racing a huge boost of confidence?
You know, I was happy to see a fuel mileage race because we haven't seen one in a very long time. And I was happy to see Kyle Busch come out on top today. I believe right now Kyle Busch is the main driver at Joe Gibbs Racing over Martin Truex Jr. It's going to be very interesting as the season continues. But overall, I enjoyed seeing a fuel mileage race today. Like I said, we haven't seen something like that in a long time, and it was just, and we didn't know who would win because it took. If you look at William Byron had to pit, Denny Hamlin had to pit, but in the end, Kyle Busch saved enough gas, and like he's saying in his car during the race, he flew like an eagle. Well, the eagle today landed and bowed in victory lane.
Yeah, I think we have a comment from the chat room. APDHTG6 says, last corner crash of Larson reminds me of J.R. Hildebrand of 2011 Indy 500. I'm not the only one. Yeah, I think I saw that. A couple of people on Twitter were saying it reminded them of that race with the last turn crash on the last lap, and the guy in second comes home and steals the victory. I think I forgot how much fun fuel mileage racing can be. I know it's not everybody's cup of tea, but it's been a while since we had one of those, and I was worried when they implemented stage racing that it wouldn't even be a possibility anymore. But you still go to tracks every now and then where you get a long enough run, stage 3 is long enough where you can see something like that. And I think Kyle Busch really had an advantage having one additional lap, or one fewer lap, I guess I should say, since his last pit stop. I think that was ultimately the difference there, because you saw even he ran out of fuel on the cooldown lap. I think Toyota and Gibbs in particular, this has to be a huge confidence booster for them. You saw Hamlin was right up there as well before he had to pit. Bubba Wallace getting a top 5 for 2311 Racing. I think that's huge for that team. But Gibbs in particular, I don't know that, obviously everybody's been talking about Hendrick. I think a lot of people forget that Denny Hamlin actually was, if you look at forgetting the playoffs entirely, Hamlin was actually leading the points over Larson coming into this weekend. So, it's not like he's been having a terrible season or anything. He just hasn't broken through for the win. And we've seen the rest of the Gibbs team each get their share of wins this season. So, I think Hendrick, like we've said, we haven't been able to stop talking about them with how good they've been. But I think if there's a clear number 2 right now, I think Joe Gibbs Racing is making a strong case for that.
You bring up a lot of good points, man. We do have another comment from a viewer in the chat room from Matthew again. He said he was amazed that Kyle Busch was able to pull off the win with the clutch and shifter problems today. It was definitely exciting to watch, and like Ben was saying, it was really nice to see the field mileage race in return. And I also forgot how much I really enjoyed that. And we also had another field mileage race, which we'll discuss in a little bit, in IMSA. And it was almost a similar situation, because the eventual winner of the Salem 6 Hours of the Glen overall in DPI, he ran out of fuel on the cooldown lap, just like Kyle Busch did today at Pocono. So the mileage races are definitely really exciting in my opinion. And like Ben was saying, with stage racing, I fear that it would completely go away. And in the era of stage racing, it's really nice to see something like that with the field mileage finish today. I thought Denny Hamlin was going to get it there at the end. Unfortunately, didn't have enough gas, and Kyle Busch, taking the white flag, had like a 7-second lead over Kyle Larson. So he was able to save enough gas and go at a much slower pace, capitalize, and get that big win for Joe Gibbs Racing. And with Kyle Busch's victory for the first time since May 9th at Darlington Raceway, yes, May 9th, and it is now June 27th. Hendrick Motorsports did not win the Cup race. Hendrick Motorsports won 6 points races in a row, and 7 if you count the All-Star race. Kyle Larson had a flat tire yesterday, but luckily Alex Bowman kept the the HMS win streak alive. Today, Kyle Larson finished second, but he was just too far back to catch Kyle Busch. And with Hendrick Motorsports' win streak over now, do you think that next week at Road America, they'll just start a new one, or will we begin to see a mix of different winners again outside of that organization?
I think it's tough to say because there is so much competition in the Cup Series. It's very difficult to win, which makes what Hendrick has done that much more impressive. But, like I was saying, even today you had Byron up there at the end and Larson obviously still coming home second. If he doesn't lose that tire, he still is on a streak of top 2 finishes. So, the way Hendrick's been going right now, I wouldn't be surprised if they just start a new streak again. But like I said, Gibbs has been running strong too. So we could see Gibbs start a streak of their own, or we could get a completely new winner because we're going to a completely new track. So, it's tough to say for me at this point.
I'll have to agree with you, Ben. Next week, like you said, next weekend we go to a brand new track in Road America, and that could be another fuel mileage race as well. Because if we look back at the past, when the IndyCar series race there was only, I believe, a certain gap that you could pit and have enough gas to the end. It's a 4-mile track, so it's going to be very interesting next weekend. I don't know if they could go on another streak again, but it's a new track for the Cup Series next weekend, so it could be another crazy finish. Anything can happen.
Yeah, I do agree with the both of you. It's really hard to say at this point if Hendrick Motorsports is going to go on another win streak, or we're going to start to see some different winners creep up there. I remember at one point during the season when we were having all these different winners, we were saying, are we going to have more than 16 winners? And Hendrick Motorsports started winning, the same drivers winning over and over, and then that kind of went out the window. And it would be really interesting if we'll see Hendrick Motorsports start clicking them off in a row once again, or we're gonna start seeing parity, a few surprise winners here and there. So I know Denny Hamlin, really frustrating day for him today at Pocono, because he was like literally this close to getting that first win of the season. Like Ben was saying, we place so much emphasis on winning nowadays in the NASCAR Cup Series that winning is really the only thing that matters, and having good consistency in the point standings, it really doesn't matter as much as it used to be. Like Denny Hamlin at the top of the point standings, but doesn't have a win. And usually we always say when drivers are running that well, they're having an excellent season. But since so many drivers have won and Denny Hamlin is not, we like to say that Denny is not having a good season at all. And I'm in next week heading to Road America. I brand new track for the NASCAR Cup Series. I think it's really gonna be interesting. And Adam, you were talking about it potentially being a fuel mileage race, and I'll say one thing: you definitely don't want to run out of gas at Road America, because that is a 4-mile monster of a road course. I'm really looking forward to seeing the NASCAR Cup Series race there. And now Ben's gonna talk a little bit about the SRX race last night on the dirt at Eldora Speedway.
Yeah, Kobe, like we were saying, don't want to run out of fuel at Road America, not just because of the track length, but because the finish line's at the top of an uphill. So that would definitely be problematic. We'll see what happens next weekend in the NASCAR world. In the SRX world, the Camping World SRX Series had their 3rd race of the season on Saturday night, already reaching the inaugural season's halfway point at Eldora Speedway. Bill Elliott's woes and bad luck continued, struggling to even finish these races. Paul Tracy had a rough start to the season, but finally had a solid race, getting a top 5, even though he angered Bobby Labonte just a little bit. Another driver causing some tempers was Ernie Francis Jr. getting into it with Tony Kanaan on the track several times. Last week we said Ernie needed to remain consistent and finish on the podium to have any shot at the SRX title, and unfortunately for him, he had a bit of a race weekend to forget, finishing 8th and losing the 2nd spot in the points to Elio Castroneves, who finished 3rd in the race behind runner-up finisher USAC star Cody Swanson. Tony Stewart won at Eldora, his 2nd consecutive win in the series at what you could probably call his home track, since he owns the place, swept both dirt races and grows his championship lead to 33 points. And next Saturday night, SRX heads to Indianapolis to race at the short track many NASCAR fans love, and I'm sure miss on the Xfinity and Trucks calendar, Lucas Oil Raceway, aka IRP.
Yes, it's going to be really exciting to see SRX racing at Lucas Oil Raceway next Saturday night. IRP, in my opinion, the NASCAR trucks and Xfinity Series should have never left that track, but that is an argument for a completely different day. And before I talk a little bit about MotoGP, Matthew has another comment from NASCAR saying he thinks Chase Elliott is going to be back in peak form at Road America, and Martin Truex Jr. Will likely also be one to watch. I definitely agree with you, Chase Elliott, Martin Truex Jr. In my opinion, they're definitely in the top 5 best road course racers in the NASCAR Cup Series. So it would not surprise me to see them very competitive and potentially win at Road America. And now looking at the action in MotoGP, the race saw Fabio Quartararo dominate, and especially after that early battle with Pecco Bagnaia. But Pecco fell back to 6th. Zarco, second place in the points, came home 4th, and Miguel Oliveira 5th, completing the podium. It was Mir, the defending champion, 3rd, and Maverick Vinales in 2nd place. And leaving the weekend after dominating the race, Fabio Quartararo has a 34-point lead over Zarco. Adam, considering last year's unpredictable championship, are you surprised by Quartararo's performance, especially compared to his performance last year and his teammate Maverick Vinales this year?
No, I'm not surprised. I believe right now when it comes to MotoGP, it's Fabio Quartararo versus the field. Yeah, like you said, Kobe, an over 30-point lead going in. I believe they're on a summer break right now, so all the riders can rest up for the rest of the season. And right now, I do believe it's Fabio Quartararo's championship to lose.
Yeah, definitely. It certainly could be Fabio Quartararo's championship to lose. And the only thing that really surprises me about Fabio Quartararo is how dominant he's been this season. When Fabio started going on that little win streak and started running extremely consistent. I mean, he didn't have this type of he didn't show this type of form last year, but this year he's really elevated his game. And I jokingly told Joe that maybe we should start calling Fabio Quartararo the new Mark Marquez, especially if he's going to go on a streak like this, because it really does seem like you said, Adam, this is Fabio Quartararo's championship to lose at this point. And I know we talked about field mileage race earlier in NASCAR that happened today at Pocono, and I also mentioned that other field mileage race in IMSA.
Yeah, an exciting 6 hours of a Glen. Kobe, like you said, fuel mileage just like it came down to in NASCAR world. And the fuel mileage finish we saw today, I guess you could say, made up for Watkins Glen's absence on the calendar last year due to the pandemic. And the final hour of the race, we saw a crash for an LMP2 car, which brought out the full course caution. And that forced the DPI teams to save fuel, knowing that they would be close to running out without another yellow. Harry Ticknell was out front in his Mazda trying to hold off a hard-charging Olivier Pla from Meyer Shank Racing. Both drivers pushed it hard, and many wondered if they would be able to make it on fuel. Luckily, they saved just enough to hold on to the top 2 spots on the overall podium. The number 55 Mazda Motorsports DPI won the race at Watkins Glen with Ticknell, Oliver Jarvis, and Jonathan Barmarito. So closing the gap to Wayne Taylor Racing of a championship, can Mazda become serious contenders for the title in their final season in DPI?
Absolutely. I definitely think that Mazda can go out there and win this title. And we've talked about them in the past, especially with the news coming out. I believe it's been several months now that Mazda is going to end this factory DPI program at the end of the year. And they're also not going to be heading into the new era prototype racing. There's not going to be a Mazda LMDH program. So basically, 2021 IMSA season, this is it for Mazda in top prototype racing for the foreseeable future. So, and I'm sure Mazda is going to work really hard during the second half of the season to go out there, be consistent, get as many race wins as they can. And if they do that, I definitely think that Mazda can have a storybook ending, especially when you look at their journey from the times when they ran those Skyactiv diesels. It didn't really go well at all. I remember when they came in 2014, they were like even slower than the GTD cars. It was a real struggle for Mazda. Then they slowly got better over the years. They got competitive. Then they had a whole bunch of reliability issues until Mazda finally built a competitive race winning prototype program. Now that they've done that, they can go out there and win any race on the IMSA calendar. And if they're able to win the endurance title or in the season long championship, either or, I definitely think that would be a special storybook ending for Mazda.
I'm going to have to agree with you, Kobe. Wouldn't it be cool to see Mazda hoist that championship at the end of the year, knowing that they're leaving knowing that they're leaving sports car racing? That would truly be one of the greatest. That truly could be one of the greatest endings in sports car history. I mean, I believe that Mazda is a serious contender, and if I was the rest of the IMSA field, I'd watch out because here comes Mazda, and they ain't looking back now. I believe that they will win a few more races, and I'll say this here on the air. I do believe Mazda will win the 2021 IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Series Championship.
GTLM battle came down to the final lap as well. For most of the race, the two Corvettes were the class of a GTLM field, but Team RLL's BMWs made a late race charge with John Edwards in the number 24 BMW trying to get around the number 3 Corvette late, but time ran out for them. Antonio Garcia and Jordan Taylor ended up taking class honors. And looking at the other class winners, LMP2, the number 11 Win Autosport team, Tristan Nunez, Stephen Thomas and Thomas Merrill. LMP3, number 74 Riley Motorsports team, Garrett Robinson, Felipe Fraga, and Scott Andrews. And in GTD, the number 96 Turner Motorsport BMW team, Bill Oberlin, Robbie Foley, and Aiden Reed. And a fun fact about Aiden Reed, he is having fun racing today at Watkins Glen, but his day job is actually working as an engineer for Rick Ware Racing in the NASCAR Cup Series. So it's cool to see him able to balance his NASCAR duties and be able to run the Michelin Endurance Cup races for Turner Motorsport in the GT Daytona class. IMSA will race again at Watkins Glen next Friday in a 2-hour, 40-minute sprint race, and that replaces the canceled round at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park.
And now it's time for our Grid Network One Shining Moment, where we spotlight one moment that we all loved in the motorsports world. Kobe, you're up. What's your one shining moment?
Well, out of my Grid 1 shining moment for this week is going to be Bubba Wallace, 2311 Racing. And oh boy, did they need that top 5 result today at Pocono more than anything. I know heading into the season, there was a lot of expectations with that organization. A lot of people expected them to go out there, be more competitive, contend for wins, and contend for a top 16 spot in the NASCAR Cup Series playoffs. But unfortunately, like most new teams, they experience some growing pains. Some things don't go your right. Has some bad luck, and just everything's not clicking yet. And it's obvious, Bubba Wallace has been really dejected throughout parts of the season when he thought he should have gotten a much better finish than he did. And today with the field mileage race, Bubba 2311 Racing, that entire organization, they put together a perfect race. It was a complete race, and they went out there, got that first top 5. And Michael Jordan was actually in attendance this weekend at Pocono. And I think for Bubba Wallace to have his best performance of the season right there with MJ in town, that's definitely going to be a confidence booster for him moving forward.
Yeah, Kobe, you took mine. I was going to give it to Bubba Wallace as well, but I also want to shout out somebody that I forgot to mention last week because we're running short on time and we had the breaking news of Chase Elliott's disqualification. I want to give a one shining moment to Kyle Petty. And, I think something that maybe newer NASCAR fans might not realize is Kyle's had a music career on the side. Obviously, he's known for being the son of the King, Richard Petty, and having his own racing career, but he got the opportunity to perform at the Grand Ole Opry while NASCAR was in Nashville. And for those that maybe aren't country music fans, that is the equivalent of a place like the Indianapolis Motor Speedway or Daytona International Speedway, if you're a country music fan and a country music artist in particular. So for Kyle to have an opportunity like that is just one of the coolest things ever. And I want to give him a special shout out because I'm sure that meant a lot to him.
Well, I guess I'll just have to go along with what Kobe said because my one shining moment goes to Bubba Wallace as well. He has a new team, and I was really happy to see him gain a top 5 finish. And hopefully, this will give him a lot of momentum going forward. I mean, with MJ being in town, I mean, I think that's pretty cool. And that's my one shining moment. And now it's time for the closing with Kobe.
Yes, yeah, and those are some great one shining moments we had this week. I know it was basically unanimous with Bubba Wallace 2311 Racing, and real nice shout out there to Kyle Petty. Ben, I actually did not know that, so I learned something new there about Kyle Petty. Unfortunately, we're out of time for tonight, so please be sure to like and subscribe to the Grit Network on YouTube. We're on social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. We're on all of those, so be sure to give us a follow. And if you have a dog, please consider get them a special gift through Pablo's. They have a lot of neat items for dogs of all sizes. Click on the link in the video description below and you'll get a 10% discount on any purchase. And we also encourage all of our viewers to check out our Patreon page for a few minutes after the show. Consider investing in Grit Network. Keep us on the air long term. We're all very passionate about motorsports, as you can see, and we really, really want to keep growing this small business moving forward, but we can't do it without your wonderful support and our 3 Patreon supporters right there. Really, really appreciate Colin, Mark, and D. Shell. Thank you for being wonderful, loyal supporters of Grit Network. And on Wednesday, Adam and I will be back with a brand new episode of Grit Tonight. With Joe not here today, we'll provide an update to the Grit ranking on Wednesday night during Grit Tonight. And on Thursday, look for a brand new episode of the Women Racing to Win. Next Saturday and Sunday, we'll be back for Grit Live pre-race and Grit Live wrap-up 90 minutes after the Cup race at Road America. So definitely another exciting week of racing coming up on 4th of July weekend, and we can't wait to discuss it with you all. For Adam Limerice and Ben Snyder, I'm Kobe Lambert from the Podium Finish. Thank you for watching and have a wonderful week.
Joe Samaniego here. Want to invite you to go check out Pablo's. Pablo's is a dog clothing and accessory company based in Austria. 10% of each of your purchases goes to helping dogs in need, whether it's homeless, sick, or ill dogs. This is one of the reasons why we support it. Kiska here is a rescue dog from rural Alaska and our Grid office dog. We care about our furry buddies, and we know you do as well. Definitely check out pablos.com. There's a link on the video description, and by clicking on that link, you get a 10% discount on your purchase as well.